Good day, everybody. How are you all? So, thanks for the introduction, Ian. But today I'll summarise what I told you last week about the Philosopher's Stone and introduce two of the most significant philosophical questions in all of human history. So, last week, the question, what is the Philosopher's Stone that could turn lead into gold? My first answer took at least 7,000 years to find, not for me personally, but because lead was first isolated only 7,000 years ago. My first answer was that the actual Philosopher's Stone could now be considered to be charged atomic particles, a bit of physics, fired at 300 kilometres per second, the speed of light, by a particle accelerator, and they're fired at the nucleus of a lead atom to transform it into very expensive radioactive gold, something that can actually be done. And then I use this first answer to describe the analogy between those atomic particles and the human mind. I said that the charged atomic particles are in turn a metaphor for a well-defined question, such as, how can lead be turned into gold? The question was first created by the curious, questioning philosophical mind at least 7,000 years ago, and has been continuously fired by the human mind, at the human mind, ever since. So the question was eventually answered when lead was actually turned into gold. And just as an aside, especially Tim would be familiar, in tennis, when opponents are firing balls at each other, we say they are asking the question of each other. Likewise, the atomic particles are asking the lead to turn into gold. So I related that stone tools called flints allowed humans to create the first sparks for making fire at least 2 million years ago. From the firemaker's stone, we can draw an analogy that the true philosopher's stone can create the spark of inspiration that leads the mind to the answer to the question, the solution to the problem. If you don't even pose the question, the unconscious, intuitive mind especially, is far less likely to be looking for a solution to any problem whatsoever. And the unconscious mind is the most powerful tool we have. This is why the right question is the main tool for creating a spark in the mind, in the same way that a firemaker's flint is a tool for creating a spark to make fire. So, two other natural philosophers and their questions. Firstly, Leonardo da Vinci asked, how can we fly like birds? Very simple question. His immense curiosity and drive, he closely observed and sketched birds. He sketched in actual flight because he wanted to know the answer to this question. I haven't studied who else was so obsessed as Leonardo was, but from this he was able to explain in detail how birds are able to lift themselves up in the air. Isaac Newton, another natural philosopher, just before the beginning of the scientific revolution, asked, what causes the apple to fall to the ground? That supposedly hit him in the head. He made close observations and exact measurements whereby he was able to formulate a mathematical law of gravity. So, simply put, combined with Da Vinci's explanation of lift, they together laid the foundations of aerodynamics and the ability to overcome the force of gravity in order to have the controlled flight we now take for granted. So just two incredible geniuses. Finally, Albert Einstein on the relationship between a problem and the right question to ask. Quote, if I had an hour to solve the problem and my life depended on the solution, I would spend the first 55 minutes determining the proper question to ask. For once I know the proper question, I could solve the problem in less than 5 minutes. So today I explained again how the true Philosopher's Stone is the right question, crafted by the human mind and introduced I also introduce you to two of the most significant questions in all of human history. How can we fly like birds? And what causes the apple to fall to the ground? So finally, the single most important philosophical question that can be asked in today's world, and I would love to talk about that another day, and that is, how can the politics of communism be reconciled with the politics of democracy so that there can ever be a possibility of world peace? So the point being, if you don't ask the question, you won't ever be looking for an answer. Thanks for listening.
Thank you very much, Richard, and